Hey, what's going on, YouTube? So a lot of you guys been wanting to know about, and I've kind of kept you guys in the dark for quite a while about why I was gone 2 years. Um, so basically, to start this video, I'm not trying to make a sob story, but I'm just going to give you some real life advice, okay? And I'm not one of these hardcore guys that have done 20, 30 years in jail, whatever, but I'm just telling you my experience. You take it for what you want to take it. I'm not going to give you sex advice because that should come from your parents, not some freak on the internet, okay? But I kept you guys in the dark about this long enough, like I said, and this might be a couple part video, we'll see. But I'm just going to give you guys the gist of it, okay? So a little backstory. I got introduced to alcohol at a very young age. You know, I was about 9.5, close to 10 years old when I had my first drink. Drank a little, you know, here and there, but by the time I was 12, 13 years old, I was drinking on a regular basis, okay? And there was a time, you know, like in between where I had like a 6-month period where I didn't drink at all, but whatever, you know what I mean, get the gist. So this last time, there's there's some legal complications that came, and I ain't gonna go into detail because I don't want the world to know my business, but I'll just give you an idea. It wasn't good, and it had something to do with my addiction. Okay, so I caught some charges that were ultimately dropped, but neither here or there. I got into some trouble. So, needless to say, you know, it involved, you know, drinking and driving, and another police officer, and just to give you the gist of it. Okay, so this is the first time in my life where I really had gotten into trouble, like some serious trouble, okay? I hadn't even gotten a speeding ticket up to this point, okay? So, basically, what happened is you guys saw, if you look back at the videos at the time, I was doing good, but I had a relapse. So, when I had a relapse, I really went off the rails because, you know, to me, it's balls to the wall. You know, I mean, if I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink to get plastered, right? That's what us alcoholics do. So, long story short, it landed me in jail for a little while. And for the first week, I'd say, that I was in county, I was in solitary confinement because I was deemed suicidal, which, you know, when you're drinking, you make threats like you're going to kill yourself and yada, yada, yada. And I really did feel like at that point in my life, you know, like I said, it took me down a real dark road. And so first 6, 7, 8 days, I can't remember what it was because, you know, all the days kind of run in there. Basically, you're in a cell that is 8 by 12, 8 by 14, whatever it is. Concrete, metal, and a cold ass toilet that's connected to a sink. It's pretty gross, okay? And the cell freaking smelled like piss. It smelled like vomit. You could tell it was a place where people go when they're drunk, you know. So, and I would get these sack lunches that had like bologna and sometimes peanut butter and jelly, and it was just terrible. You know what I mean? The food sucked. By the way, I mean, the littlest things that you guys take advantage of, I'm here to tell you, unless you've been to jail, I mean, it's a mind-numbing experience. I mean, it's like a whoa. It's a shock in reality. It's a kick in the ass, okay? So the littlest things I took advantage of in there, you know, like right down to clothes you want to wear, to cologne you want to wear. Well, guess what? You don't get none of that in jail. You have no say whatsoever about what you eat, how you dress, anything like that. You do what they tell you when they tell you, and they jump, you say how high. I mean, that's the way it goes. So this was the first time in my life that I really was in an environment like that, so to speak. You know, but I mean, I never really had a problem with authority figures to begin with, but I mean, a simple, even right down to getting decent night's sleep, guys. It is so loud in a jail, especially in the drunk tank. Anybody that's ever been in there, that's where you first go if you're drunk. And that's where I went for the first 7 days because, like I said, they had to make sure I was okay, mentally. So, anyway, but like I said, it was so loud. I mean, right down from the guards walking to the keys clanging to bringing, sometimes they would bring these people in off the streets that have been drinking all day and they're loud, banging on the doors, and everything just echoes so loud. So, good luck getting a decent night's sleep. Not to mention the freaking mattress is probably about that thick, not exaggerating, and the pillow's even thinner. Okay? And then you have just imagine trying to sleep with a light shining right in your face like that all night long because they got to keep an eye on you, where I was at. So, yeah, it just sucked. It sucked. So I was in there for about 7 days, still real scared, facing my situation, not knowing what was going to happen. And then for about 45 days after this, after they took me out of the solitary, they put me in the actual jail. And at this time, I was kind of with the whole crowd, people that were in there for all sorts of whatever crimes, non-violent, violent, whatever. And let me tell you, my cell that I was in, fortunately, I ended up with I had 3 different guys come in about my time in this part of the jail, okay? And fortunately, all 3 of them were decent, kind of in there just for, petty shit, like, whatever. Nothing real serious. So, but, it's a feeling I can't describe. Sleeping in there not knowing who's going to come in your room. I mean, just try that. I mean, let me tell you something. I was using a bathroom in front of 3 different guys I didn't even know. And I had to get used to it real quick. That's another thing. You got no privacy. None whatsoever. But that feeling of just not knowing who the hell is going to come. I mean, you might have one guy in there for a minute that is just in there for petty theft, and then the next thing you know, they're bringing a guy in that just beat the crap out of his wife or something, and now all of a sudden you're roommates with this guy. So, you know what I mean? So that thought of not knowing who is going to come in, you got to get used to that real quick. Please, guys, don't do anything that's going to put you in jail. But if you have been there, unfortunately, I'm not proud of this. But this is just what will happen ultimately if you keep going down the wrong road. The simplest things like, I had a lot of time to think in there about just wanting to see my family again, wanting to spend just an hour with somebody, just wanting to go out to eat or, just some little things like that, guys, that you take advantage of that. I mean, jail, guys, it's a whole different world. I mean, it's just an entirely different world. Once you step foot in there and you're in handcuffs, believe me, it's a feeling that you never want to feel. It's just unbelievable. And you know what the sad part is out of all this? There are guys in there, where that's their whole life. They don't care. That's normal to them. That's what I'm saying. Now, fortunately, like I said, I wasn't around anybody like that had nothing to lose, but there's some people in there, guys, they don't care if they're there. They're better in there than they are out on the street. It's just sad. And there are some guys in there that'll tell you, hey, we literally don't care. Somebody looks at us wrong, we're going to beat the shit out of them just because we got nothing to lose. And fortunately, one of the main things I learned right away was to mind my P's and Q's and keep my nose to the ground. I made the mistake of asking too many questions one time to a random guy, and the guy finally just looked at me and said, dude, I'm just going to give you a warning. You're getting too personal. And he got really upset about it. But like I said, fortunately, he was a decent enough guy. But he's like, dude, if you do this to the wrong guy, you're going to get the shit beat out of you. And the guards and stuff try to do everything they can to kind of monitor that, but you know, eventually it happens. So, you know, for the first month and a half, not knowing where I was going to go, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing when I was going to get out, you know, guys, that's a really, really deep, dark feeling, you know, and, you know, it kind of just kind of makes me sad even thinking about it because, you know, I mean, it's terrible, guys. It's not fun. And so that was the start of the journey that I had. And like I said, this will probably be a 2-part video for sure. But you guys wanted to know, and I'm just giving you the gist of it. You know, I'm not really going to go into a ton of detail, but eventually I was transferred to the minimum security part of the jail once they figured out I wasn't a fuckhead, excuse my language, or wasn't a dirtbag trying to fight the system. I'm just, hey, look, I did wrong, I screwed up, I'm just here to do my time. Once they figure that out, and it takes a while, you know, it's kind of like a ranking system. You know, they go by, okay, what did you come in for? You know, what's your charges? You know, what, are you suicidal? Or are you yada, 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 whatever. I mean, there's just, I can't describe it. It's like a ranking system they do to determine where you're going to stay. And so eventually I got into the part of the jail where it was more lax. You know, like I said, there's no good part of it, but at least now, at this point, I could get like stuff where I could have my family bring me in some coloring books and just simple little things like that. Just at least my jail does this. I don't know about where you live, but so I got in the minimum side where I could have a little bit more freedom, you know, where, because before, I mean, I was locked down basically 20 hours a day. You know, you could get out to shower, and basically you're in a 8 by 10 foot cell with some random guy you don't even know, you know, so, and very little freedom. So yeah, I mean, it's just tough. It's tough to talk about because it's an experience you'll never forget. I mean, it's just an experience you never forget. So, so then in the jail, I got a job to do. You know, like they ask you what you're good at. Ultimately, they decide. But I said, hey, I'm a pretty good cleaner, you know. So I ended up mopping, you know, the day room floor at night and just tidying things up. You know, each guy was given kind of, and this is the minimum part. I don't know about the violent part. I'm assuming not. But the minimum part, you know, they would let you do, like, random things. Like mop the floor and stuff like that, you know. Just for something to do. You know, to pass the time. That's all I cared about. I mean, anything was better than sitting in a cell 20 hours a day, you know. So I stayed there for quite a while, and like I said, I'm approaching the time here where I'm gonna go to a 2-part video. But basically, to sum it up, in my time in the jail, it was a changing experience, guys. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things. It really, really taught me how to be more patient. It taught me to really self-reflect on myself and thinking about my family, you know, thinking about the things I took advantage of and what a shithead I was when I was drinking to others. I mean, I just can't describe it, guys. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's something you got to experience, which I hope nobody does. But, yeah. I mean, it's mind-numbing. But I'll get back to you on part 2, so watch that.